Welcome to the Progressive Mindset Podcast. My name is Natalie Potts, personal development and business coach, and each week I'll be bringing you an inspiring personal message to help you unlock creating and living a life full of energy and happiness. Today I'm going to talk about job losses, the pandemic, and linking this with mental health and well-being, and the reality of actually just looking at where you're at. So in this world at the moment, which is so uncertain, and I think if you think back to April, we would be saying, the world's really uncertain. I think even more so now, we feel this is crazy uncertain. Things are changing within hours, and we just need to really think about how we manage ourselves and live our lives around this. So it's positive and it's energetic, and we aren't just having every day after every day. How do we get the most out of our days and have meaning? So in a world that's full of uncertainty, fear, insecurity, all around jobs and anxiety levels soaring, you have to start taking responsibility for the decisions and choices you make and making sure you're making them wisely. And this is absolutely key. So we almost need to trust ourselves more in knowing that what we need to do and the decisions that we make are the right ones for us. We don't really have maybe always the time to give things a go and, hope for the best. I absolutely think, fail and learn. But I also think we need to tap into knowing our strengths really well. And again, this is where it can be a positive in knowing your strengths and really driving those. So reality is, the current bleak predictions are that job losses around 5 million at the UK at the moment, or actually reaching that. And 15% of the work population is at those 5 mil. And this is a level that hasn't been seen since the 1930s, which is absolutely crazy. So more than 9.3 million people on the government's furlough scheme, and there is a huge risk around potential job losses for a lot of people. So loads of people are seriously worried, and the impact this has is it hits your mental health. And they're finding that 50% of workers have seen a mental health deterioration during the last few months. And again, that's staggering. So if you think you work in a team of 30, 15 of those are really, really struggling potentially, and they may not even seem like they are. So it's created a workforce that is absolutely swimming in anxiety. And yes, it is absolutely critical that businesses and us, ourselves, we focus on our well-being. But we have to seriously make that a priority. There's no point just saying it. We have to have that as our values, our core values at the heart of our personal side of things and in businesses as well. And lots of businesses learned from the 2008 recession how important it is to have a focus on wellbeing budgets within business and the overall performance difference it makes in output. So you would definitely see there is more businesses obviously wanting to really focus on wellbeing. But it's not just about a cash investment and money. It is about achieving savings and benefits from retention and productivity. And the key is to choose the right actions in all of these. So right actions in one, yourself, and right actions in how you either lead your business if you're an entrepreneur, or how you have a responsibility within a business as well, if it's a corporate business. So I work in an area in business with diversity and inclusion as well, because it really appeals to me. I've, had eye-opening situations and moments the last few months all around Black Lives Matter and learning about race and, the discussions that we have, how to have a voice. So all of that side, it really appeals to me that businesses, again, are very diverse and inclusive. I guess as well, stemming from a couple of years ago, really looking at gender and females within business sector. So going on that, mental health is almost coming into that as well. It sits under what I call an umbrella under diversity and inclusion, and a strand if you want it. So with Mental Health Days on the 10th of October, it's a great opportunity for businesses and ourselves to really focus on maybe making a change. And a lot of people like a moment in time, they like a catalyst, they like a situation, they like, mic drop moment of, right, tomorrow I'm going to make a change and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. So I almost think that this day can represent a great moment for us to really be aware and educate ourselves more. When I say educate ourselves more, it's that we all know the importance of a work life balance, getting enough sleep, eating well, and daily exercise. None of this is anything new. None of this is anything new to my podcast. I speak about it all the time, yet we don't implement it. So, therefore, my suggestion is our education around these areas is not strong enough, because if we were educated enough to know the reason why and understand it enough, surely we would do it. So I think that there's a real lack in education around mental health, and again, just being open-minded to go and explore what this looks like and be curious as well, not to have all the answers. Exactly the same as the example I use of like diversity, inclusion, and race. We have to go out there and we have to have the intention to do a great job, but we have to know that we won't always get it right. We need to learn, fail, and go again, or grow, as I say. But going back to the side of kind of getting these things right, we all like to think we know what it means and we have the answers all the time to know how to get them. And sometimes we do, and sometimes we don't. Sometimes we need to trust ourselves more, and sometimes we need to trust that we need to go and ask for the help. And this is what I do with the coaching. It's kind of, you draw the information out of people, but sometimes the answer is that they need to go and find help, or they need to go to a certain area to get some help and support. So what is it that you need is the question you have to ask. And you have to make those decisions and think, my sleep's really bad. I need to go improve that. My eating is really poor. I have a great week. I was talking with a client the other day. They were like, I have a fantastic week. And then it comes to the weekend and it all falls apart. Now, this is even business coaching, but it has such an impact on their world at the weekend, in the fact that their time, or where they're wanting to do a bit of business, and they're just like, well, once I've been out for the night and then I just want to chill at home, I don't actually get any work done. It's the same every week and I just need to snap out of that mode. So all of these things have a ripple effect. So whilst these things sound really basic, we do constantly fail at them. So, just reflect a little bit on maybe this weekend you've just had and what the changes that you want to make to this week. Maybe just do one thing. Again, keep it simple and build on it. And you will start to feel better. And you have to keep something going. It's like the habitual thing that you should keep a habit going for 21 days until it becomes embedded and we rewire our neurons, etc. But I definitely know from when I've done some changes around my food and maybe gone on a diet, those 2 weeks are real tough, the first 2 weeks. But once I've got in that momentum and I start feeling better, I've noticed a tangible change in how I look, I start getting more focused, and then I'm on it, and I love that feeling. And it is a different feeling. It is really hard to get there though at points sometimes. And it's the same in business. You have to keep that trust that it will pay off and you're on the right track. So taking responsibility for changes is key, and the shifts that you're going to make. And again, I come back to, how do you do this? I think the key is talking about what you need. And I've done a lot of exploring and kind of reading around relationships and understanding, not just like, personal relationships, but all the relationships we have in business, friends, family. And I actually think that we are just not honest enough with people about what we want and what we need, and having direct conversations in friendships where it's honest, but it's very respectful, and you're doing something because you're doing it out of good intention, because you want the best for someone else. If you love them and they're a close friend or relative, you want the best for them even more so. So find your voice with that. Now it's needed more than ever. We keep saying that, but again, what does it mean? Be a part of a positive change, because change is happening so quickly that we just don't have time to really think about, well, does that work? Does it not? All the time. We have to pick and choose those battles almost, or those moments that we're going to reflect on. But be curious with it. Embrace a challenge. Be bold. Be curious about things. So have an interest to go and understand something, and educate yourselves. So what is it that you could do better? Businesses really need to focus on this as well. So if you know that you run a business, or you are in a corporate world and you don't see well-being as a core part of the business, then stand up and say something. It is so important that you go and say that this is what I really think would make a difference, and really look at how you can strengthen yourself within that. And I really think this is key, because we know in a time of change like this that there will be people that do really, really well, and there'll be people that are really, really struggling. So why not choose to be that person who does really well? Choose to put well-being at the front of your mind. Recognize that health is our wealth, and that this is a way of leading out of a pandemic in a positive way. And those that aren't really behind you, then you have to learn and adapt and let them go. And that's natural, and that's always going to happen. That's always going to happen in all relationships in your life. But I think now more than ever, this is a moment to kind of stop, look at the decisions you've made, don't overthink them, but reflect, think, how are they serving you, how are they not? Understand what the change is, who is it that needs to help you, and then go for it. Do it, give it a go. And this is all about raising awareness. It's not necessarily about knowing that that's going to work and I'm going to stick to that. It is just raising awareness. And again, I go back to that thing that I started at the start, that we know things, we just don't do them. And we need to sometimes tap into the part of why. And that's always I never say why as a question much when I'm coaching with people, because it can often have quite a negative association with it, especially sometimes how people say it, well, why? So I would choose to ask something else, like, what does that mean to you? Or what's the reason for that, opposed to why? And you tend to get a better discussion from somebody. And it's not as challenging, and people are more open and receptive to it. So I think, again, kind of really think about what's the reason to that. So again, I just thought this was going to be a short burst, and I'm really big at the moment. I'm looking at whether there's just too much information out there, and I'd love to have some feedback on this if you wanted to share it with me throughout the week on your thoughts, and whether we're into reading loads of books that are long books, whether we're into reading lots of articles. When I read articles, I pretty much like a 2 to 3 minute article and then I'm game over. So with podcasts, anything more than 30 minutes, and I tend to find that I've switched off, or it's just 10 minutes more than my car journey would ever be. And I just think that we're in a place where our world's busy. We can have more like bursts of information and bursts of moments and points of reflection. We don't need to have a podcast that lasts for 50 minutes all the time, or the book that's over. I think you have to have a certain amount of pages or words or something with the book. I haven't actually looked into it. So I understand that, but I think that, kind of like a short series and, shorter posts. You have to have long posts on Instagram and social media. Again, just do something different and be out there and listen to what people want. But I definitely think there's something more powerful in just being these bursts of moments. And again, within that gives us the time to then go and explore what it means to us and trust ourselves a bit more, opposed to always having to listen to other people's telling us what to do. I think it's about empowering ourselves with the information that we have and thinking about, how does this serve me now? What do I need to take from that? And it kind of stems back to that saying that you don't need to keep going on courses. And please, 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 I know there's some amazing materials out there and amazing people. Maybe stop doing all of the free stuff. If you're going to invest in something, invest in absolutely what's right for you. And, I always say this to clients, like, I don't want a client just for sale. Like, I genuinely want to help somebody. So if I'm not the right person, that's absolutely fine. Let me try and hook you up with the right person that might be right for you, because it's about you getting what you need to move forward. That is the main thing. So it's about serving someone else and what they need. So again, with that, we feel that, if I do that course, I'll have that. And if I do that, or if I read that book, I'll have that. And it's just that moment that sometimes just stop, make a decision, and then go with it and trust yourself more. So I recognise I've changed this podcast. I could almost be talking less about the job losses, pandemic and wellbeing, and just more around empowering ourselves. But again, you see the impact it has and how it rolls onto one thing after another. The reality is that we can choose how we sit in this pandemic at the moment, and we can choose to make the right decisions for our well-being and our attitude. And imagine if you were that person that had the right intentions with work, and there were situations where there's job losses, and you against somebody else was making a massive impact and difference in that. How do you make a difference in the business in a way that's going to really serve people at the moment? There might not be that job loss for you. So again, it's just a change in the perspective. So as ever, I'm going to leave it there, short and sweet today. I do thank you for listening to my podcast. I do love it when people share about how useful it's been, or they've been listening to them and shared it. If you haven't yet listened to my podcast from last week, it is Stop Making Excuses for Who You Are, because that's really, really important. So I highly recommend you check that out. And I'll put a little link in the episode with this, as I always do. Please connect with me. I'm on nataliepottscoaching.co.uk, and I'm on my Facebook community, which is Living a Vibrant Life. And I love to hear from you. So please drop me a message, leave your feedback, and say how this empowered you or what you'd like to have more of. I would love to know. So thank you as always. And as I always say, have a great day and have a great